Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Gunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Vishakamitam Namayo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namayo Krishna Prishthaya Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakari Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Vrindavan Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ashtottama Sutta Shishima of Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Navacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Kamla Devi Jamuna Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladadadadai. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilakankanakalayi. Ito Nrisingha Parato Nrisingho. Jato Jato Jamitato Nrisingha. Mahir Nrisingho Hidaye Nrisingho. Nrisinghamadin Sharanam Prapadye. Nrisinghamadin Sharanam Prapadye. Kamala Pare Nakam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubinga Kesavadito Harirupa Jayadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone out there. It's kind of Philadelphia Zoomers and YouTubers. You're part of our Zoom and YouTube channel. We welcome you to our Sunday program. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We are here in ISKCON Philadelphia, a group of us. But there's a much larger group of you out there. We are especially grateful today to have as a special guest His Holiness Rtadhvaja Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. So he's coming to us from Dallas, Texas. We're extremely grateful for his willingness to spend some time with us this evening. I want to say a few words about Maharaj. Primarily, he does a lot of his preaching and spends most of his time in the South, so we don't get a chance to see him much up this way, other than maybe at some Rath Yatras and such. But Maharaj has a very interesting story. His first encounter with devotees was in 1972. He grew up in a rural area in North Dakota, and some devotees from the Rtadhvaja traveling Sankirtan party came by his house and asked him if they could borrow some flowers for worship.
They didn't say borrow. They didn't say
right?
They just said if they could have some. And I said,
Okay.
yeah, just do whatever you want. Whatever is yours is mine. Whatever mine is yours.
And is it true that they took all the flowers?
Yeah. And I noticed it later on in the day. But it didn't bother me at all. I just thought, well, whatever. But
And how old were you at that time?
I didn't even notice they were devotees. I was probably like years old or something like that. He was still in college. I didn't
And
even
then-
notice that they had dhotis on the guy that came to the door. He had a pink hat, pink shirt, pink jacket, pink pants, pink shoes, pink socks. I didn't even notice anything different. Then later on that night, I saw him at the fair with Vishnu John and Tamal Krishnamurti doing bhajans on the what do you call it, midshift stage that comes out of the bus, and I still didn't notice anything. They had complete shaved heads, and I was oblivious to the universe at that point, or I was one with the universe, something like that. So it was about 3 or 4 years later that I walked into a house. I can see somebody's looking at us over there, Hargo over there next to the door, behind you. And so I just walked into the house, and there were Prabhupada's books because his brother had joined, Manu Sutta, who is the late Manu Sutta, who passed away a couple years ago. And I just read the books, and the next thing you know, I wanted to be in the temple. It was very, very, very quick, just by reading Prabhupada's books. They're alive and well. Prabhupada's books are alive and well.
And then, so Maharaj, you took initiation in 1977 in Gainesville
Yeah.
from Srila Prabhupada,
Yeah.
and you took sannyas in 1985.
Yes.
And one of your primary
32
services
32 years
has
old.
been.
I was 32 years old.
And then one of your primary services has been caring for the Vaishnav youth.
That started in '92. So before that, I was a Sankirtan leader, and then I was regional, and I became Rita Anandamars's secretary for a couple of years. And we traveled. We were in charge of all of South America. I was regional secretary South America. Anything south of the Rio Grande. He became the zonal acharya for the Southeast, so we started managing the Southeast. And then I was always part of Gainesville Krishna Lunch from the very almost the beginning. Within the first second, see about the third or fourth year, I was with Krishna House, Krishna Lunch in Gainesville, and I'll always keep a pulse on that. I'm on the board of directors there still. Now it's under Kalakanta, so I don't have to worry. And in 92, I started teaching, taught until 2000. Started a youth program for young boys in 93 or 94. And now some of my students, Krishna Kishore, who was part of the Mayapuris, Datatreya Maheshwara, wonderful Vaishnavas, and their wives run the summer trip for the boys called Our Future Hope. And yeah, we just had a Zoom, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, with her Grace Gopi Gita, who was born in the Hare Krishna movement. Her dad was in charge of his dad was a dentist, but had a little medical problems, and so he had to retire early, and became the temple president of Detroit, I think it was, and Hillsborough. And so she did a little interview with me for the GBC strategic planning team on teenagers, and we had a nice talk about taking care of kids. You can get onto the GBC strategic planning team. If you just type in youth or something, you'll get all. I spoke, Vera Krishnamurti spoke, a few others have spoken on that. And yeah, the youth are, I'm getting close to 68, so if you hang out with the youth, you still feel young. Actually, there's a purport in the Gita where Prabhupada said an old man's, even though the body's crumbling, because the soul's eternal, he doesn't feel like he's old inside. Now I'm realizing that's true. I feel stiffer like a kid, but I did some exercises yesterday and I couldn't move for 3 days. The soul was willing, but the flesh was weak, as the Christians say. They say that in a different context, but I say it in a physical, in an exercising context. Hi, Daddy. I see Daddy. His name is Daddy on the thing. That's nice. And Daddy Day.
We're very grateful that you gave your time to spend with us this evening.
Oh, I'm
And
quite happy to be here.
we're going to do a format today of questions and answers.
Yeah.
So a little different than what we're used to with the traditional class, but I think this is a great opportunity. Some of our congregational members sent in some questions ahead of time, and there may be some opportunities to do follow-up questions to those questions, and maybe some time for additional questions from the audience as well. So want to start off? Should we?
Yeah, you're the facilitator. I'm the facilitated.
Okay. So we got some questions, some generic questions, and we got some questions from, specifically about the youth, because you have experience in that field as well. So maybe we can mix them up a little bit. The first question that we had was, can you hear me okay, Maharaj?
Yes, if you want, I have earbuds. I put those things. I just took them out. I have earbuds. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little bit. It's okay. I can hear you clear, but if it could be a little louder, that might be better for the viewing audience.
I sit a little way away from the screen, then you can see.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, one tattoo artist did that. Instead of tattooing me, he tattooed a canvas. So can you hear me better now? Because I got the.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little bit clear.
Okay, I can adjust my microphone. There's a way to adjust the microphone on here if you need me to do that, which I can't find right now. So skip that point.
It's okay. So the first question that we received was, many times we hear in Srila Prabhupada's lectures and read in Srila Prabhupada's books that we should take up devotional service seriously and go back home, back to Godhead, and at the end of this life. We also hear that this material world is not a fit place for gentlemen. On the other hand, we hear that devotees should be happy to serve Krishna anywhere, material world or spiritual world. So the question is, should we want to go back to Godhead or not?
It's a nice question, isn't it? Because most of us in Krishna consciousness begin because we're in a miserable condition. Somehow or another, we finally realize it. That material world's a miserable place. I remember Shiva Ram Maharaj. I don't know if you all know Shiva Ram Swami. Very wonderful Vaishnava. He was my first temple president in Winnipeg, Canada. And when I was visiting, and I go back, I was a student and I was working for the government. Unbelievable life working for the government. That's another story. But he'd always say, when are you going to surrender? When are you going to surrender? And I used to tease him because he was from Canada, and I said, I'm from America. We don't surrender. And so the idea is that at a certain point, the idea of enjoying and finding true happiness in the material world kind of went away. And you start noticing through the transcendental knowledge of scripture that the material world is, like you said, not a fit place for a lady or a gentleman. And so it becomes an impetus. It's a real catalyst for us to want to get out of the material world. And in the beginning stages, I've been here for over 45 years. I still consider myself a beginner because it's not so nice here. But intellectually, I can understand that the highest level is whatever Krishna wants. And so the question is yes and yes. The answer is yes. It's okay to want to get out of the material world, and yes, it's okay to do whatever Krishna wants. That would that takes a little more surrender than just say, okay, I'm really tired here in the material world. I really want to get out. I'm going to just I'm gung ho. I'm going to go for it. I'm getting out of the material world. That's a good precursor. Then all of a sudden, when you're really there and the heart's clear and your material desires are extinguished and you've gotten your PhD in the school of University of Hard Knocks, and all of a sudden Krishna says, I need you to help me out here or help me out there, because the level of surrender is greater than you can do it. But in the beginning, it's okay. But ultimately, for a devotee, heaven or hell. We have the story of the gopis when Krishna had a headache. Of course, everyone knows that story. Krishna had a headache, inconceivable. And the only cure was the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. And Narada went running everywhere to Brahma, Shiva, this place, that place, and none of them would do it because they thought they would offend Krishna and go to hell. And they didn't want to go to hell. But the gopis said, they just started scraping their feet like anything and trying to get piles and piles of dust from their feet. And Narada Muni was bewildered because he said, aren't you afraid of going to hell? And they said, let us go to hell because we don't want Krishna to have a headache. And if we can get rid of Krishna's headache by going to hell, that's more valuable to us than being, in the spiritual world, whatever it may be. So it's a simple question. It's a simple question. And I think that's sufficient. It's a sufficient thing. I have to get one thing off my desk.
Sure.
I'll share it with you. I put this down. I put this up there every time I give class. Slow down. I always give extended answers. And so in order to avoid extended answers, and because I speak a little fast, I always like to calm down.
Thank you, Maharaj.
It's an impetus, wanting to get out of the material world. It's a great impetus. Great impetus.
Before we move on from this, we may see if we have any follow-up questions out there on this question. It's something specifically related to this. And by show of hands, they can ask a question. Okay. So the next question is, what are ways that impersonalism manifests in our lives and in our communities, and how do we guard against it?
I saw that question before and I was thinking about it. It's a pretty interesting question, isn't it? I'll just, half the Bhagavatam is stories about different things. So one time Giriraj Swami and I, we went to Sadhu Sangha together. I mean, I flew in from one place, he flew in from another. And then we drove to Washington, D.C. in my car. Actually, I drove up to Sadhu Sangha from Florida. And we're driving on the interstate, not in the middle of nowhere. There was a Petco store, like one of those big box stores. And I looked at Mars and I said, this is we're like in a totally rural area. Why don't they have like a personal mom and pop shop for taking care of the pet needs? Why do we have to have some big, conglomerate material, box company come in and figure out that they can make money here? The whole world's becoming impersonal. But when you have a personal shop owned by a personal owner, then you get personal care. I mean, these shops, they train their workers to take personal care, but they're not part of the community. I mean, some of the workers are, but the corporation is not part of the community, although they do donate to the community. And so impersonalism, this is one of the main problems in the material world, is impersonalism. And Prabhupada preached so much about impersonalism, and especially like this cutting on the Mayavadi philosophy of it's all one and impersonal. And a lot of devotees couldn't understand it at first. Why is he hammering away at this so much? It just hammers and hammers and hammers. And the truth is that we're actually infected by that. And that infection is that we tend not to see the person behind the costume. And that's one of the things with this George Floyd thing situation, is that you're seeing the covering and you're not seeing that there's a person behind that. Another human being is present as a human being. He has a different kind of dress than I have on. Many times when we're giving lectures, we'll make it it describes some of the darshana. We'll just say, I'm wearing saffron. I think you have, it's kind of like olive with stripes on it. And, Kurt has a white shirt on, and Daddy, I can't think he has like a tan shirt on. So if I think Kurt's white and you're olive and I'm orange and Daddy's tan, it's just an external thing. And we tend to deal on external, what would you say, vision. Our vision is materially conditioned by the externals because we haven't developed our internal consciousness. And so because we haven't, and we don't want to, and we're due to one of the things is due to vulnerability, we don't want to go deep. We don't want to go in. Vulnerability means we have a fear of being accepted or rejected. Because of that fear of acceptance and rejection, we hide within a little shell of, which is impersonal. We don't really reveal our true selves, and we don't let others reveal them, or not that we don't let, but they're not willing to reveal them true selves for the same reason. And so what happens is that we deal superficially with people. And it's true in the Krishna consciousness movement. When I joined in 1975, and we thought that we were not subjected to all the historical circumstances that happened to every new religion throughout the history of religious movements. We thought we were completely exempt because we were totally transcendental, although we were quite non-transcendental. I think it was His Grace Winter Shroop one time said that in the 70s we were working on our spirituality but lost our humanity, and now it's time to work on our humanity again and get and perfect our spirituality through that human contact and through that humanization, which means understanding that we are a person within, and that personality is not just being filtered through the external vehicle, yantra durgani maya, the body is like a machine. And so in order to eradicate that, one has to dive deep into their conscious. We have to become introspective. If you listen to Radhanath Maharaj when he's preaching in the West, I listen to his Western lectures sometimes, and he's always talking about the inward journey. He actually even wrote a book, The Journey Within. And so the idea is that when we go inside, we can understand our personal nature. We're actually a person, and there's no need for fear of vulnerability, because if someone, as long as we are, what would you say, guiding our actions through scripture and Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, as long as we're guiding our actions through that, there's no need to feel vulnerability, because if someone doesn't accept us because of our particular actions, which are connected to the Supreme Lord, we don't have to worry. But that doesn't mean that we can just walk around holier than thou, thinking that we're Hare Krishnas and we're better than everybody else. Actually, we just happen to be in a particular hospital that's able to give the cure, and we should be humbled by that experience. We should be very grateful for that experience, to have come in contact with that. And so in order to free the Hare Krishna movement or our society from the infection, the infectious nature of impersonalism, we have to really take a deep look inside and see where am I at, and how am I reacting to others through my external vision, that vision which has been implemented. I don't want to say imposed, because that means it's somebody else's fault. That vision which I have gained through my previous actions. My body right now is just a reaction to my previous actions. And so where is it that that's at? And where can, just like this whole thing with George Floyd has really brought out that element, because previously I would consider myself a non-racist. Now I consider myself anti-racist or against racism, and I will personally speak out about it if I see it. Whether it manifests it with the black body community or this body community or any kind of thing, or to speak of just being racially unfair to the animal community, it goes on and on and on. And so taking a good look inside the heart to see where we stand, and in our personal community, not judging somebody for whatever they may know or may not know about the process of Krishna consciousness. If you had about 45 minutes or an hour, I can tell you exactly how not to treat a new bhakta when they come to the temple, because I had a 24-hour experience that would have shocked anybody right out of the Hare Krishna movement. And it's so funny that people roll on the floor. I remember one time I was telling Amrish and Shama Kun were at this Ram Nomi party at Shama Kun's house, and about 10 people, and they were literally rolling on the ground laughing because, I don't want to start telling the story because it's too much, but just like one aspect of, I wasn't allowed to wear blue jeans and a wool sweatshirt and a wool flannel jacket in Winnipeg, Canada, when it was freezing cold, because you can't wear blue and wool in front of the deities. And I was told I couldn't go down in the temple room like that. And so I said, well, I don't have anything else. He said, we have to wear, what am I supposed to wear? And they said, wear like this. And I said, I don't own that. And it was in merge barrels. Nobody even owned clothes. You had to just like go into a merge barrel and pull out a dhoti and pull out a kurta and pull out a pair of socks. And so then I did that. And then I said, what's next? We're going to go to the temple and bring your beads. So I brought my beads and I was walking down the steps. And somebody says, you look like a slaughterhouse. I've been a vegetarian. I don't know how long I've been a vegetarian before I went to the temple. And I thought, I look like a slaughterhouse. And he says, yeah, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Thakur said if one is not wearing Vaishnava tilak, he looks like a slaughterhouse. And I was completely bewildered. I had no idea what language he was speaking, what he was talking about. And so prejudging somebody because they're not wearing tilak, or prejudging somebody because they're not dressed like this, or prejudging somebody because they make a little error in their spiritual life, and finding fault and criticizing rather than educating and having compassion and having gratitude for having gained what we've gained is a source of impersonalism in our society, because whatever we've gained, we're meant to share, and whatever we haven't gained, we're meant to learn from others, and that's a personal relationship. The Dati Priti Granati, that loving exchange is there. But it takes a sense of confidentiality. In other words, you don't just walk up to somebody and say, you look like a slaughterhouse. You walk up and say, in our society, we wear Vaishnava tilak. There's a whole protocol for encouraging people rather than discouraging people. And that comes from an impersonal approach rather than guiding. It's fault. And it can hurt. Many devotees have been hurt, but many devotees have been encouraged. And the goal is to start encouraging everybody. Maybe shorten the answer. I mean, I could have gone on for another 15, 30 minutes, but we'll just leave it at that. So the point is that impersonalism, we have to take a look at our own impersonal nature and reduce that, and start exposing our personal nature, and people will start exposing their personal nature.
Thank you for the thoughtful answer.
Unfortunately, we're actually a person inside. Unfortunately, we got this filter that kind of distorts it.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question is, the special ingredient of bhakti is that our service has to be offered with love. Often service and devotional life becomes repetitive. leading to being mechanical and lacking the heart. How do we overcome this so that spiritual life is ever fresh?
Very wonderful question. I send out a little WhatsApp Japa memo every day. I was thinking I would do it in the morning, but mornings, sometimes it takes me 15, 20, 30 minutes to get, because I say words backwards. I have a little learning disability. And so I'll say words backwards. So it takes me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 takes sometimes. And so I started doing it in the afternoon. And one day I was sitting there thinking, and I said, mechanical chanting. So I actually got on my computer and I typed in how to overcome mechanical prayer. And there's so much stuff in the Christian community on the internet about that topic. And just two things that they mention is that they have like, and every religion has, as far as I know. I mean, I don't know all religions because there's probably a billion of them, but the ones that I know all have set prayers. Just like when I was in a Christian church when I was a kid, and we used to say, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," and so these are kind of like rote prayers, and so we can do that mechanically. But if today is Father's Day, and so if we're actually thinking, "Our Father who art in heaven," that's a loving relationship. That's a very, very intimate relationship. It's only one down from conjugal, which is the highest relationship one can have. I'm just listening to Burjan, His Grace Burjan Prabhu reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. He reads for about 15 minutes a day, usually every day. And he's on the talks between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. And they're saying that each relationship is perfect in themselves, but if you want to look at it objectively, you can understand that Shanta, that servitude is greater than Shanta, and parental is greater than, friendship is greater than servitude, and parental is greater than friendship, and conjugal is better than parental. So what they say is, if you just want to sit down and analyze it without understanding that each one of those has a particular bhav, which is meant for that particular living entity to feel fulfilled, you can understand. And so when you just say that prayer, our Father, when you think of your father, well, unless you had an abusive father, it's a very, very loving relationship. And so Krishna is not abusive. Krishna is actually very, very kind. He's actually very benevolent and very just and very loving. And so when we say those prayers, if we dive deep into those prayers, then they do not become mechanical. They actually become very personal, even though they're rote. I don't know if the word is rote. Kurt's an English professor, so if it's rote as rote words, and even like our morning program, it's all samsara dava. We're in the samsara. I'll just tell a little story. One time I was on an airplane. Speaking of samsara, I like this story because one time I just had that airline flight magazine and I just popped it open to see if there's any coupons to get more frequent flyer miles. I live off sannyasis live off frequent flyer. Anyway, we used to when we could fly. And they had an ad with a lady. Of course, the lady, is imaginarily scantily dressed. You don't see everything, but everything is scantily dressed because that's how they sell things. And she's holding a bottle, Jagadish Gupta, I think that you're got to turn your microphone up or something. Okay. Am I back with everybody?
Yeah, you're
Okay. So there was a lady, obviously imaginarily scantily dressed, holding a bottle of perfume like this, like a circle, and it said the name of the perfume was Samsara. And I went into I went into a sense of great joy on the airplane, because here they finally are giving the truth. This lady and me as a heterosexual male being attracted to beautiful form of a woman, and she's just telling me I'm the source of repeated birth and death, was a real breath of fresh air for me. I mean, a wonderful, wonderful experience on an airplane. And so getting back, a little off track there with that little story, but getting back to the, making it mechanical. Each and every one of those, each and every one of the rote prayers that we have, if you want to call them rote prayers, like the Mongol Arati prayers and the Tulsi prayers and the Sringadev prayers, the Guru Puja prayers, these things were written by people who were immersed deeply in love of Krishna and love of the spiritual master. And in order to make it not mechanical is to understand the true meaning of these words. And the more we dive deeply into the meanings of the words, the more personal and the more connected we become to the person who wrote the words. It's just like anybody that reads a novel or something like that gets a connection to the person. I have one friend, he got his PhD in English in some literature, and he was an expert, and I can't remember the writer's name, but it'll probably come to me if I don't try to press it. And he did a PhD study on just why this person wrote in a particular way. And so we could actually do PhD studies on each and every one of the prayers from, Bhakti Vinod Thakur to, Narottam Das Thakur, all these different prayers that these people have shared with us, that the true meaning of relationship and the true meaning of the different types of relationships one can have with Guru, Sadhu, Sangha, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, all these different things are available within. And then there's the aspect of personal prayer, that when we go before the deity, there are rules and regulations that kind of govern how you pray. In other words, first you offer honorific, statements, and then you offer some kind of a meaning to the relationship you have, and then you ask for some benediction. There is some system to that. But Krishna is not just some kind of computer data input machine. Krishna is actually a person. And just like if I were to just say I was in dire need of something, and I just I was having a heart attack, or I was having some kind of real extreme medical emergency or something like that, and say the governor or the mayor of Dallas came by, and I just didn't say Your Honor, or it was a judge, and I didn't say Your Honor. I just said, "Oh man, I'm really, my heart, my this, my that." We can, because it's a personal relate. The person I'm speaking to is a person, and he understands the circumstance is a personal circumstance, and the formalities don't have to be there. And so when we approach Krishna, Krishna's not just some kind of data input machine where you put in so much data and out pops, a pure devotee. He's actually a kind, loving person, more person than we can possibly imagine person. This is coming from the Philippines. I told him I was giving class. This, Mars, I'm giving class. I think I mentioned yesterday, so I'll have to call you later. I didn't even know how it rang. It was turned off. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. He goes out for his aerobic walk because it's like 90 degrees, 90%, 99% humidity in the Philippines right now, and he got COVID struck there. So anyway, getting back to Krishna, Krishna is like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when you get into the Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter, it says that one who is free of desire, fear, anger, all these kind of things. And so in the commentary, Prabhupada says that these things block a relationship due to so many obscure philosophies and due to fear of a personal relationship. Because each and every one of the personal relationships that we've had in this material world, somehow or another, ultimately come to, even maybe a loving, disastrous ending, like, you lovingly leave somebody on the side, that's passing away, and the relationship's still, deeply loving, but that relationship ends. And so the thing is, we have to understand that Krishna is actually a loving Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we understand that, then the mechanicalness can go away. The mechanicalness can go away. In as much as we appreciate Krishna as being the Supreme Person and us being Maimai Vangso Jiva Loka, the eternal part and parcel of that supreme loving being, you know, and you know, it's kind of like the marriage that has that's lost the personal touch. You never say you love me. I love you. You're just saying it. You don't mean it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you know, it's kind of like one of those things, you know? And so the idea is that when the communication is good, when we dive deep into the personal needs of the Supreme Lord and the personal expressions that these great Vaishnavas are giving us, and our own personal need, our own personal situation, if we tell that to Krishna, Krishna hears. And Krishna has compassion, and Krishna has understanding, and Krishna has the ability to free us from the duress, or at least give us the stepping stones to find a way to find gratitude and find a position within this world where we can understand the nature of this place. We can actually come to that level. This takes a little bit of work. That's a nice question, though, huh? Mechanical.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that everybody has maybe encountered at least once, where they've had to question themselves. Is my heart really into it? I've noticed that a lot lately. I've noticed that with myself, where you feel like you put on your dhoti, you put on your tilak, you kind of look the part, and you kind of go through all the right motions, and
yeah,
but you feel like, you know, inside you're just kind of you're not there where you're not as advanced inside as you maybe look outside.
Yeah. I've always mentioned that within the heart, there's a place where we're actually at. And we don't even go there for ourselves. We don't even think we're there. We think we're one step above that. Because we're so deeply entrenched in the material world. There's a nice verse where Krishna explains that he's not in charge of anyone's pious or impious or sinful activities. This is all enacted by the modes of material nature, and it's in the 5th chapter or 15th verse, I think, and it bewilders a living entity. And in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada says, due to our avoidance of Krishna consciousness from time immemorial, due to our avoidance, in other words, we're avoiding Krishna, that we don't even want to go down to that part in our heart that is the avoiding part of Krishna. We just want to go up a little bit. Then when we have close friends or loved ones, we may just go a little bit above that, because they don't really want to know where we really think we are, which is actually a little above where we're really at. And then when you go up a little bit to the, maybe like a little bit less intimate community, and then a little less in it, and then a little bit less, and a little bit less. And so the problem is that we don't start at the foundational level. The foundational level has to be understood. Because if you don't have a strong foundation, no matter what kind of edifice you build on top of it, it's going to crumble at some point. And so that mechanical chanting, especially, let's just talk about mechanical chanting rather than mechanical praying. If we can understand that Krishna is actually present within the sound vibration of the holy name, Nam Nama Kardi Bahu Janija Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, all Krishna's energies are present within the name of the Lord. And if we can actually understand that, at least like in the introduction to the Gita, within the first couple of pages, Prabhupada will say that once you read Bhagavad Gita, at least theoretically understanding that it's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead speaking, at least in theory, we should read it with that type of theory. So we may not know that Krishna is personally present in a name, but as we chant, we should at least in theory understand that Krishna is personally present here, and have a personal conversation, a personal interaction with the holy name. a personal interaction with that sound vibration, non-purple, with that sound vibration, and the mechanicalness, if that's even a word, the mechanicalness will slowly go down because we'll be forced to see Krishna as a person. I went to a Japa retreat one time in Georgia with Satchidananda Maharaj and Giriraj Swami, and I can't remember who was all making presentations. And Satchidananda Maharaj was explaining that when you're chanting Hare Krishna, just if you have to, just it's kind of like in theory or in imagination, just you go into your heart and see Krishna present in your heart. Imagine Krishna present in your heart, and you're actually chanting to Krishna within your heart. Krishna is actually there in front of you and listening, because he's actually there in front of you listening. We just don't have the vision to see it. We have to be trained to have that vision. And so again, in theory or within our ability and through the training of the scriptures, we can understand that and kind of like slowly defeat that and that's another form of impersonalism. When you really get down to it, not thinking that Krishna's in there listening, it's kind of like an impersonal relationship, even with the holy name. Yeah, I just got to get my rounds, and it's another one of my to-do things, No, to have the great fortune to chant the holy name is the opulence that's beyond all other opulences in this world. There's no other opulence greater than to have the good fortune, the great fortune, the unlimited fortune, to be able to even utter the holy name, to even have the kind of body that has a tongue and an ear that can do it. It's a very, very, very special thing. And so the mechanism can go away when one has a deeper and deeper understanding of what we're really doing here in the Hare Krishna movement.
Thank you, Maharaj. I want to transition to some of the questions regarding children.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you're the facilitator.
Yeah. So another point I just want to make to the audience that we have our Sunday school ceremony and presentations tonight at 5:45. So
nice.
Kind of a timely, it's end of the Sunday school year. We usually.
Yeah, I think I signed about 120 of them one day here. Arati is fine. It's like it. If
So
the kids like it, I like it. If the children like it, I like it.
Yeah. Great. So I think we'll benefit from hearing your experience in some of these questions. One of them is, how do you encourage a teenager for devotional practice when his friends are not into it?
I worked with teenage boys for, one of the boys said I've raised about 150, or have had about 150, 200 boys. Now, if you add TSI, it's probably getting bigger. But over the years for the summer trip program, it was about 150 different youth. And after I say I was with an ashram or summer trip experiences with kids for 10 years, after about 7 years, I found a book on teenagers. And the first thing the person says in the book, the PhD or sociologist or whatever he was, and he says, if somebody is telling you that they understand teenagers, close the book and throw it away, because nobody can actually understand them. It's just like it's like, even His Holiness Ramapad Maharaj one time said that I'll do anything I have to do in this lifetime not to have to come back in the material world and be a teenager again. Whatever it is, Krishna, whatever it is I have to do not to become a teenager again, I'm willing to do it. And so teenagers is a unique species. And so I won't like minimize the question as I was, it may have sounded like I was minimizing the question, but the question is very pertinent. And the way I dealt with teenagers was, my teenagers were I don't, I mean, I had very kind parents. My father never, well, he only beat me up one time when I almost drowned because he was afraid I almost drowned and was just upset because I almost died. So I guess that's one way of expressing love, beat them. don't ever beat your children, ever, ever. They would rather get beaten than an hour lecture. Just give them a lecture. That's and so my process for working with the youth was that understanding my trials and tribulations, which is a mild way of saying what I went through as a teenager, because the body is changing at a rapid rate. Of course, our bodies are always changing, but that's a specific time. That's a very specific time where you're hitting your adolescence, and and what's happening is that the brain is just overwhelmed. It's just like one of the most confusing times that one can possibly have. And so what my process, if you want to call it a process, or what would you say, way of doing it, was I always remember what it was like for me to be a teenager, what my experience was, and have an empathic, what would you say, mindset. Whereas I understand what they're going through. I just saw somebody sent me one of these, people are getting too much into Maya on the internet nowadays. They send you all these jokes. So the one comedian said, if I would have known, he said, if we would have known you were going to be this at 13 years old, we would have never had you. And when the kid says, I hate you, the guy says, we hate you more and we've hated you longer. And so the thing is, it's like, really, you have to have an empathic, you have to have an empathic, skill set. Whereas, just imagine yourself being in a situation where you have parents that are maybe at least nudging you to be a devotee, or maybe in a little way insisting you to be a devotee, and maybe even demanding that you be a devotee, and nobody else around you is a devotee. And just put yourself in those kind of shoes and see what kind of response you would give to that situation. What type of response you would give. A lot of the members, of course, except the ones that joined that were born in the Hare Krishna movement, they joined for a particular reason. Mine was, I just opened a book and it said, animals go on 4 legs, they eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Human beings go on 4 wheels, they eat, sleep, mate, and defend. What's the difference? And I couldn't figure it out. The next sentence was, there is no difference. One's polished, one's not. We're not meant to be polished animals. We're meant to use this human form of life for understanding our eternal relationship with God. I closed the book and said, I'm in. You understand? In other words, I made a conscious decision to be a devotee, or to be an aspiring devotee, I guess, as we say, proper way of saying it. The children haven't, if your child is born in the Hare Krishna movement, or is in or even if the child you joined when the child was a teenager, he hasn't, or she hasn't joined the movement yet. They don't have any conception. They may have not had that, final beating in the school of hard knocks to understand the urgency of the message that's being presented. That's one of the words that Srila Prabhupada used. Some of those people who are listening here they probably heard me say this 1,000 times. In the Gita, it says that one should practice, even in the Bhagavatam, said one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of one's life. And in 1 or 2 places, Prabhupada says one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of one's life, or from the time you understand the urgency of this message. And so some of us understood that urgency. Some of us understood the urgency that this isn't going to work here. No matter how hard I'm going to try to enjoy, or how hard I'm going to try to be successful, there's a jet going over. I don't know if it's affecting you. no matter what I do in the material world, on a material level, is not going to actually satisfy all my needs. I've had that experience. I remember when the devotees would say, when are you going to surrender? You can't, there's no pleasure in the material world. I said, just come down and live with me. I've got it figured out. But I didn't, because after a while, after they wore me out. They just kept saying, when I would say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they just said, yeah, how long is that going to last? How's that working for you now? Right? And, she loves me, she loves me not, she loves me. Oh, she loves me not. How'd that happen? And so this is the principle. And so put yourself in the shoes of the child and try to understand how you would react in that situation, and with empathy, try to share your experiences. We had this with Gopi Gita. We were talking about the youth. If the parents honestly share their struggles, they honestly share their troubles, they honestly share what they're going through and what they have gone through with their teenage children. Little children, you don't have to go so much for that. You can just say, because I'm the dad, because I'm the mom, and that works. But when they become teenagers and there's so much turmoil in the brain going on because the changing body is now in rapid motion. It's just like, they put the pedal to the metal, as they say in America. I don't know how many, I guess everybody's listening is in America. But the idea is that, the body's going through rapid change, and to just really open up, because the more we can open up our own selves to the children, the more they'll be feel less vulnerable to open up to us. That vulnerability, again, is there. They're gonna, if they're not opening up, it's because they're afraid they're not going to be accepted for what they are. They have doubts about Krishna. Okay, you have doubts about Krishna. That's the whole Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna's doubts. He's a pure devotee. He's a personal friend of Krishna. He's the cousin of Krishna. He takes lunch with Krishna. He wrestles with Krishna. Right? And he has doubts. So imagine, we don't have any of those qualifications. We're not going to have any doubts. And your child's not going to have any doubts. And he's not going to want to disassociate something that may cause him some type of separation with his relationships or her relationships with their friends. Put yourself in the shoes and try to understand it, and then open up. I've had that problem also. Tell them your problems. Maybe you're able to express some of your spiritual life with your coworkers. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Explain your difficulties. Explain how you do open up your spiritual life or your relationship with Krishna, or ask them. Find out once we expose ourselves in our what would you say, lackings. The children, especially teenagers, I can't guarantee, because nobody knows what a teenager is really about. They may begin to open up, and once they begin to open up, this is just the Gita, Arjuna opening up to Krishna. Oh Krishna, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think this is better than this? This isn't making sense to me. So that's my answer in a nutshell, but it's kind of a big nutshell. Big nutshell. But I've gone through this many times, and if you want, I explained that quite in length with Gopi Gita. If you want to go on to that, it should be on YouTube. And I listened to Bir Krishna Maharaj also. He did a wonderful job, because Gopi Gita was in Mother Urmila's school, and he was the temple president. So she sees him as a second father. No, you're muted. You're muted.
The conversation you had with Gopi Gita on this topic.
Yeah.
Right. So that's good. I think the parents out there, that may be something we should tune in.
Yeah, she's doing a whole thing on youth in ISKCON. It's part of the GBC strategic planning.
Yes, I saw them.
Yeah. So you can just share that with your community. Yeah, share that with your community.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. It was nice to hear your perspective on that. Very helpful.
I get a little excited.
No, definitely. I think there's a lot of people out there that would be interested in listening to that conversation.
Yeah.
With Gita, Mataji, and yeah,
I'm still suffering from PTSD of being a teenager, post-teenage stress disorder. PTSD, post-teenage stress disorder.
Our last question. We'll see how many we can get to before our time. But next question is one for kind of our Sunday school, from a Sunday school teacher of ours. And they want to know about some tips for the Sunday school teachers in different ways. So in the Sunday schools, you have the children who are, parents are devotees. They're already devotees. They come in their tilak and bead bag. And then you get some kids that come that are just, parents may be there for the first time. They're not affiliated really with ISKCON. They may come from either a Western background, not in Krishna consciousness, or a Hindu background that's really not, connected deeply with Krishna consciousness. Any tips you can give for how, for the Sunday school teachers, for those two scenarios?
Yeah, teach them teach the children not to be biased, not to have any type of judgmental nature. In other words, we're getting back to George Floyd right now, right? Discriminating against someone because they're nude, discriminating against someone because they don't dress a particular way, discriminating against somebody because they're wearing tilak or not wearing tilak. These are details of Krishna consciousness. The dress is a detail, the tilak is a detail. Of course, one should wear tilak. I mean, I'm not saying that one cannot do these things in their essential parts, but they're details of Krishna consciousness. The essence of Krishna consciousness is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. So these things may work as catalysts for us to remember Krishna, just as a Prabhupada would say, as a policeman is identified by his uniform. I'm still pro-police and I'm still anti-racism. I'm both, I'm a combination. I'm a schizophrenic, right? So the idea is that the school teacher should, by the example, that means being an acharya. Anyone who's a teacher has to be a acharya. They have to set the example of being non-judgmental when a new child walks in. Or someone comes in, a new child, be they Western or be they a non-Vaishnava tradition, that's Hare Krishna tradition. It's not if they can emulate that type of acceptance, the children will learn from it's like one time Prabhupada was asked, what should the children do as far as like morning program and stuff like that? He said they should do it just as the adults. And so, because they learn from the adults, not only do they learn from the adults, but they especially learn from the children a few years older than them. How many, the peer pressure, the peers, right? And that's like when I had an ashram, I had young boys that were 12 years old and I had boys that were 16 years old. And I told the boys that were 16, I can talk for 45,000 lifetimes. And all you have to do is one thing that doesn't correlate to somebody on Kita, on Kita. You are dominating the screen.
I think you're back.
Yeah, there. Okay. So the point, I guess the main point is for the teachers to become acharyas. Now I just see myself. It's for the teachers to become acharyas in their exemplary actions, so that when something that isn't actually, say, quote unquote, Hare Krishnaized with dhoti, tilak, if they forget to take their shoes off or something like that, they don't get condemned to the lake of fire forever and ever because they forget to take their shoes off. They're politely, guided with love and compassion. And when the children see that, they'll learn how to adjust. They'll see what it is to be a Vaishnava. They'll see what it is to be actually having a non-judgmental. That's a simple, answer to a complex, I always say, of course, I don't want to call myself intelligent. That would be rude, but, taking complicated things like this and simplifying them is a sign of intelligence. And so simplify. Krishna consciousness is a very complicated and expansive process. But the more we simplify it and make it easy for people to understand and to engage in, rather than telling somebody that they can't wear blue in front of the deities and they look like a slaughterhouse and, et cetera,
Thank you, Maharaj.
making it real.
Yeah. This is kind of a related question to that, and kind of where you kind of ended off.
How come I'm seeing me and not you?
What's that?
I'm seeing, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the Sunday school classes where you teach the children Krishna consciousness, how important is it to talk to the children about current events within the world? For instance, the racial tensions that are being felt all over the country, as opposed to, say, just, learning shlokas or learning stories about pastimes from the scriptures.
Yeah, age appropriate, very much age appropriate. If you got teenagers, break it out, open it up. I don't know if you're on the TSI group meet. So I just sent out something by, I always say his name, I always get his name. Devans. Devans, and it's very hard for me being from North Dakota to say 3 consonants in a row. Nash. Anyway, he just did a very, very remarkable, extraordinary a YouTube. I guess it's on YouTube now. He had 2 professors from his college. Hey, there's a nice little Vaishnava. He had 2 little nice shaved up head, huh? Nice tilak. He doesn't even know, like Mukund Krishna Das. Is that you, Mukund Krishna Das?
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Can you put your camera off? There you go. So anyway, he had 2 professors, African American, PhDs, scholars, very well placed. One was very well placed in the academic one was on tenure track, and the chief of police for Yale and the deputy chief of police for Midland or mid something in near New Haven and stuff like that. And they had this very, very open discussion about police, racism, and everything. I mean, the chief of police is like the 6-foot tall African American guy, and when George Floyd was, as they say, murdered, by the police department, he said as he was putting on his uniform, he was weeping, he was crying, because his heart was like so torn in half. So that ability to expose that vulnerability of his feelings really was really, really moving. And the professors were outstanding. And it's only an hour long. I would suggest anyone that has any question about the need to become proactive to eliminate, because this is Krishna conscious, because there is such an opportunity within this racial tension and all these kind of things. Right now, we're just going to put out the fire. We'll be part of putting out the fire, but then we'll get to the seed cause. The seed cause is that we're not samadarshana. We're not seeing, there's only one way to see equally, and that is spiritually. There's no two human or two living entities alike. Someone is greater or lesser than any other living entity in this world. Only spiritually do we have that same unity. And so we have such a great opportunity. So little tiny children, they get they can, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, you can just say there's bad people, there's good people, and we have to support the good people and stuff like that. But when it comes to the point of young adults, teenagers, even getting whatever age, the kids mature at different ages. So age related, maturity related discussion, very, very important. You can't hide it. Buddha's father tried to hide it, and as soon as he got out of the palace, he saw that it's not a bouquet of roses. It's actually a very serious situation out here. And then the Buddha manifested within him. And so I say very, very open, blunt discussions with anyone who has the maturity to do it. And if they're little kids, good guys, bad guys. And then I'd also like to emphasize, because you mentioned one thing. Do we have time? Can I just mention one thing? Yeah, because you mentioned, is it all, like memorizing slokas and hearing, understanding Krishna stories and stuff like that. The Krishna stories are really good if they do dramas, because it really sets in deep with them when they do dramas. Really, really does. With Krishna stories, they can learn the songs. What is it? Sweet. I used to know the song what they used to sing for Govardhan Puja and stuff like that, Govardhan Puja and stuff. But I remember one time I was an ashram teacher in Mayapur for the second ashram school, not Bhaktivedanta Purna Swami's ashram school, but Vedasar and Mother Vachitambar's ashram school. And I was an ashram teacher there for 2 years, half the year each year. And they asked me to teach slokas to the boys. So I had about 13 boys, and they wanted me to teach them like 60 slokas within a 8-week period or something like that. And I said, that's not how I do it. And I said, if you want me to teach, I teach, because you got to know the meaning. You don't want to just parrot. You don't want to parrot mantras and not know the deep meaning. So we're around that verse, Matas Pashasta Kuntayasi Tasnasa Kadukada Agama Payino Nichastam Satiksha Subharatam. So they learned the translation, they learned what each word meant. And I said, okay, everyone has to tell me a story where they had to tolerate something. So it was at least 10, 13 boys, each one told a story. And it's like 5 minutes before break, 3-4 minutes before break. And they said something's missing. And they say, what, Maharaj? And they say, my name's not what, Maharaj? My name is Rtadhvaja, Maharaj. That was like one of my jokes with them. They'd say, but they call me but Maharaj. But Maharaj, I said, don't call me but Maharaj. Just call me Rtadhvaja, Maharaj. Because when you get down and dirty with the boys like that, especially teenage kids, they like that, challenging, put the challenge on them. And so I say something's missing. And they say, what? And I said, I'm not going to tell you, because if I tell you, you'll never remember it. But if you all work together to figure it out, you'll never forget it. And so oh man, Mars, come on. And then all of a sudden the recess bell or the break bell rings. And I say, gentlemen, I'm sorry, until you figure it out. So now the pressure's on, right? And then after a few minutes, one boy goes, Mars, I got it. We all mentioned something that we had to tolerate that was bad. None of us mentioned something that was happiness that we had to tolerate. And this is an essential point of Krishna consciousness, because when we experience material happiness, we get pulled into the mode of passion. We get pulled into the mode of passion of trying to enjoy on a material level. And according to the Gita, passion causes grief. And when you become full of grief, you become angry, which is the mode of ignorance. And so the point is that to teach them the slokas is really good. I have one very, very loving friend that when her father taught her the whole entire Gita, but just the slokas. And she's always calling Mars, you know, this sloka, what's the translation to this one? She knows every verse of the Gita, but just the Sanskrit. And she's super intelligent. She knows the philosophy. She's a medical doctor. She's really brilliant and very devoted. And so the point is to understand again the essence, just like when you're chanting japa, understand the essence so you don't become mechanical. Everything has to come into that level of Krishna consciousness. And so, yes, give them as much as they can handle. Yes, they're good and bad people. You have to be careful when they're little, you know, don't go with strangers. Have passwords for your kids so they know if somebody's telling, you know, your mom came to pick me up. What's the password? And if they don't know the password, find the police or find someone to protect you, you know. Everything has to be done systematically. But if they're older and they should know the dirty details of the guilt of in the heart that holds bias against someone just because of a particular ethnic or whatever belief system they may have. There are evil people, and we have to know that there are evil people, and they have to, you know, we have to be able to discriminate.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. I wish we had longer. I really do. We have our Sunday school award ceremony about to begin in a few minutes. I felt that this format of questions and answers, especially for the prepared questions, you know, went really well. And
Thank you.
Like I said, I wish we had more time. Perhaps we can do this again.
Perhaps, yeah. Krishna willing.
One of the things we didn't get is feedback from the people online. We kind of rolled through the questions. So I'm thinking maybe, you know, I'll arrange with you. We could do this again.
Okay.
Continue, because I'm sure there's more.
It's 5:45. It's time to give the awards.
Yeah. So,
I keep my computer on Eastern time because that's where Brahmatirtha lives and he manages my life. Well,
Hare Krishna. One thing maybe we could do, we could turn our cameras on just so you
please.
get a chance to see some of the devotees here in Philadelphia. I saw you saw some of them. So maybe the people that are out there, the devotees, the children, as well as the adults, maybe
I can go to that little box with yes, everybody. Oh, okay. Hare Krishna.
Turn your cameras on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, from Houston.
Yeah.
Ajay, Arati, Ishan's here. Adisesh. Oh, big guy, yeah. Oh, it's going too fast because, you know, whenever somebody comes and turns their camera on, it switches back and forth, and it's kind of like a psychedelic experience here. Kirtada. It was Kirtada. And we had Tamal Krishna had a very wonderful disciple named Kirtada Sundari. It was her disappearance day yesterday, anniversary of her disappearance day yesterday. She is a wonderful, wonderful Vaishnava that really taught the meaning of Guru Seva. I don't know anyone who was more of an acharya on Guru Seva than she was. Mauli Porsche, huh? Some nice young people there. Yeah, nice. Anyway, I'm very happy to have met you all. I hope I haven't offended anybody by my strong speaking. Hopefully it was understandable. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Krishna willing, Krishna willing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your Nectarian Association.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Vanchikopa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnava devotees of the Lord Ki Jai.
So is Rtadhvaja Maharaj Ki Jai. Okay, at this point, I want to hand things over to our head of Sunday school, Mother Shobha Radhe. This is our annual Sunday school ceremony and presentations. And we have about an hour full of exciting children presentations that we're going to go through. So please stay with us, that we are tuned in to Maharaj. Stay with us and let's encourage and support our youth and see all the wonderful things that they're working on.
I'm
Hare
sorry,
Krishna.
I left the thing because I have another one coming up in 30 minutes. And so, you know, bodily needs are bodily needs. And so I have to just exit because I have to do another Zoom in a short period of time. But
We understand, Maharaj.
very happy to meet you all, and congratulations to all the Sunday school kids. Let me just see if I can see all the kids on there. I love kids, you know. Oh boy, Ishan, do I know? Did he go to Camp Ignite? Ishan, did you go to Camp Ignite? Shake your head up and down. It looks familiar. Some of the kids, because I did Camp Ignite that were kids 10 to 15 years old for the last 3 years. Anyway, okay. So anyway, I'll let you go on. I won't dominate, which is my normal nature, but I have to do a little bodily maintenance, change the oil, and get a engine repair, and then do the next program. Okay.
Maharaj, we're very grateful. Thank you so much.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mother Shobha Radhe,
Hare Krishna.
you're on.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday School year-end presentations. Like with everything else, Sunday School also went onto the Zoom platform after about 2 weeks of break when we had the lockdown. So just as we do in the temple room, we will start off with the youngest kids. Darshan Prabhu is the teacher in that class, so you can take it away, Darshan.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This year I taught Gopal class for the first time, and it was an amazing experience. The children always bring me a smile to my face, and since they knew I would be coming from college, they would always ask me on Sunday what fun things I do there. And they would also ask if I had enough friends, and if they didn't like my answer, they will tell me that they're going to be my new best friends. So this year, we learned about the different avatars of Krishna and their pastimes. And the video I'm going to share will show some of the crafts we made during the quarantine, as well as they're going to share what they have learned this year in class. So let me share my screen. And then here's our Gopal class presentation.
Lord Nrsimhadev is the Supreme Lord. He is the form of half lion, half man. He killed the demon Hiranyakasipu and made Prahlad Maharaj his devotee. Why Hiranyakasipu, the demon, why Nrsimhadev killed Hiranyakasipu? Because Hiranyakasipu, the demon, wanted to kill his son Prahlad Maharaj, the big devotee of Lord Vishnu. And that's why Lord Nrsimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu. Hare Krishna. My name is Rtadhvaja. I'm the first Dash avatar of Lord Vishnu. Once upon a time, there was a king named Satyavatmuri, and a small fish swept in his hand, and the small fish said, "Please, Satyavatmuri, take me out of this big fish ocean." And then next, Satyavatmuri took the fish in his home, and the fish became bigger, and bigger. And there was Satyavatmuri realized that this was Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu tells Satyavatmuri that there will be big flood, and can you please make the boat for the Vedas and the 10 rishis. 7 rishis. Next, the Matsya avatar took the boat in the Mount Meru. Suddenly, the naughty man named Haigarev, and then Lord Vishnu defeated him, and suddenly he gave the Vedas to Lord Brahma. Hare Krishna. I am Vamandev.
I am here
I'm here
to get
the
3 steps
3 steps
from
from
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lord Ram was the eldest son of King Dasharatha. He killed the demon Ravan and restored Dharma on the earth. He was an ideal king of all time. Jai Shri Ram! I'm dressed up like Balaram. Balaram is the older brother than Krishna. Balaram have a Haladara because he's Haladara and he holds a plow. Balaram kills a lot of demons like Plambasura and Deadly Donkey. And I love you, Balaram. Hare Krishna. I'm Radharani. I'm Krishna's best friend. I always think of Krishna. I have to chant of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So that was our presentation. So I'll pass it on to Madhava class and Kirtila Mataji.
Thank you, Darshan Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. This year, achievements for Madhav class. We celebrated one of the most important festivals Govardhan Puja in our class just a day before the actual festival. The kids brought offerings from home and we offered it to Govardhan. Also, there was an activity of building Vrindavan and a few Krishna conscious games. In our class, also, we discussed how Krishna is our best friend. What is the relationship between us and Krishna? How can we dovetail all our activities in Krishna consciousness and also to use our talents for Krishna's service? Importantly, of 26 Vaishnava qualities, kids learned and practiced 5 qualities: respect, cleanliness, humility, tolerance, and compassion. During the pandemic, we started learning and reciting Bhagavad Gita verses also. During our class, as an example for tolerance and compassion, we studied about Srila Haridas Thakur from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. For showcasing these 2 qualities of a true Vaishnava, Madhava class kids have enacted a few pastimes of Srila Haridas Thakur. Let's watch the drama now.
Hey.
Okay.
The friend of the meek and poor. He is the omnipotent supreme Lord, the maintainer, controller, governor, and everything. All glories to you, Sri Guru Hari. For you, descended to protect your devotees. All glories to our brother Chandra and his devotees. One devotional service simply by hearing his transcendental pastimes sincerely. The Supreme Lord of Vaikuntha plans lived in Navadvip as a householder teaching his students. He had appeared specifically to reveal and propagate the process of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. But it was his wish that no one should know his true identity. Along with the Lord, his associates also would take birth in order to be a part of his pastimes. Lord Brahma was a part of this pastime, as Srila Haridas Thakur, by being one of the closest associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The entire human society was totally devoid of any spiritual aspirations. No one discussed Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam openly, nor did they instruct their congregation of chanting of the holy names of the Lord. In this situation, the Vaishnava devotees often met together remotely to clap their hands and chant the holy name of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The materialistic people of Nadia continually criticize the devotees. What is the purpose of calling so loudly? After all, I am Brahma, the absolute design within you. So why discriminate between masculine The devotees were discouraged by these offensive remarks, but had no other alternative. They simply cried to Lord Krishna and lamentated the plight of his Krishna, please, Govinda, please save us from these demoniac people. About this time, Sri Haridas Thakur came to Navadvip, whose body glowed with devotion for the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Thakur was born in a village called Guram, and because of his presence, there many people became purified and took up the chanting of the holy name. After some years, he left his village and traveled to a place near River Ganga. He finally settled in the village of Pune near Santi. Acharya Prabhu was overjoyed to meet Haridas Thakur in Navadvip and expressed his joy by roaring loudly. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Acharya would perform Shraddha, in order to deliver himself, he offered Bhoga to Lord Vishnu. Then he offered the Vaishnavas. To the most acceptable Vaishnavas, given the honor of accepting the first three names of Vishnu. Acharya gave that honor to Sri Haridas Thakur, even though the most admired highly praised Brahmanas were present. People were astounded. They were shocked. I'm a Mecha. I'm a Muslim. There are so many more qualified people than me. Why are you giving me this honor? It's meant for a Brahmana. By feeding you are feeding 10 million Brahmanas because you have complete attraction to chanting the holy name. Haridas Thakur was swept away by the waves of ecstatic love of Godhead when transcendental company of Advaita Acharya Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People gather around in just to see the unrestricted tears of love of God that flowed previously from his eyes, drenching his entire body. He is such an exalted devotee. I want to learn to love Krishna just like him. In the village of Pune, a naturalistic Brahmins were sincerely impressed by Srila Thakur's spiritual ecstasy. The saint was held in full respect by the people of the village, and having won their trust, he lived there quite peacefully. He bathed daily in the Ganga and roamed freely, chanting the Lord's holy name. The local Muslim authority known as the Qazi became envious of Haridas Thakur's popularity and reported him to the Nawab. This man is acting like a Hindu. Arrest him and punish him appropriately. When the ladies and other parties were entirely of the village heard that the Lord was coming, they were extremely happy. But when they subsequently learned that he was coming as a captive and he was a sinner, they were horrified. Srila Haridas Thakur sent to this place. But did you know he's been brought here as a captive only a while? What? Oh no. Previously, many religious people had been imprisoned by the Muslims. These prisoners were happy to learn that Haridas might be joining them. His presence in their miserable situation would certainly eradicate their suffering. Hope we all can feel a Haridas Thakur association. When Srila Thakur was brought into the prison, he looked compassionately at all the prisoners. Yay! Haridas! Just remain as you are. But the miserable prisoners could not grasp the depth of that blessing, and they felt quite dejected. What? What? Please do not feel dejected. I could never wish you any misfortune. I simply desire that the love you now feel for Lord Krishna will always remain the same. From now on, chant the Lord's holy name constantly and remember his pastimes, even after you are released from this prison.
Having showered his unrestricted mercy upon the prisoners, Haridas was before the Navajo. Because of his purity, Srila Haridas Thakur radiated a certain effulgence which the Navajo could not fail to notice. He rose respectfully when Haridas entered and offered the saint a seat. Although he himself had become quite confused, the Navajo asked Haridas, "What sort of mentality is underneath? What is it that you expect to be doing? Are you My dear sir, the Supreme Lord is one. Even though his names might be different, the Hindu Shastra is the Puranas and the Muslim Shastras is the Quran. Everyone acts as he is inspired by the Lord, as also do I. Some Yamanas become Hindus and some Hindus become Yamanas to worship the Lord. So, sir, please find this point seriously, and if you still find me guilty, then punish me. You must punish this man. He is evil and mischievous. Otherwise, followers under his influence and become equally sinful. He will disgrace our Muslim religion and community. Therefore, will not be appropriately punished. If he wants to be excused, then let him preach from his own scripture. My friend, to speak from your own scripture and accept the path. Then you will have nothing to fear. Otherwise, the cause equals person will punish you. They will revile and insult you. Why should you let that happen? Whatever the Supreme Lord desires is destined to happen, and there is no one who can check it. Even if you cut my body into pieces, I will never give up the chanting of Harinama. Now what is your decision about him? Imagine in 22 marketplaces until he dies. There is no other judgment I found appropriate. Lash him until he breathes his last. The sin of Muslim incurs that becoming a Hindu can only be punished by death. Haridas was so absorbed in fervent chanting that he did not feel any pain. Good-hearted and pious people could not bear to see the torture inflicted on such an innocent person. If they continue to torture this good man, the entire kingdom will be ruined. I wish the Lord dies than having to punish such a great soul. You can do anywhere you like if you stop this merciless beating. But the guards continued to drag Srila Haridas Thakur from one marketplace to another, lashing him relentlessly. Oh Lord Krishna, please be merciful upon these poor souls so that they may not be punished because of me.
How can a person survive all these brutal beatings? Any ordinary man would have died after all these beatings. You must be a saintly person. Oh Haridas, because of you, our lives are in danger.
If my survival brings such a misfortune to you, then I should definitely give up my body. Just see how I die. Srila Das Thakur immediately fell into trance. The guards were astonished, but gladly brought the body of Srila Haridas to the Navajo. Burn him. Ultimately gain entrance into heaven. Although he got the high rank of Muslim, he is like a low Hindu. Therefore, it is proper for him to be thrown in the river Ganga to suffer eternally like the other lost Hindus. On the Qazi's order, the guards picked up the body of Haridas Thakur and carried him to the Ganga. Haridas remained in his deathly trance, meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spirit of Lord Krishna then descended into the body of Srila Haridas Thakur, and he became so heavy that it was impossible to move him. Even the strongest guards could not forward to push him into the waters, but he remained in deep trance and could not be moved. Haridas had already drowned in the ocean of love of Lord Krishna, and he had no perception of the world around him. Just like Rtadhvaja, Haridas Thakur had the spiritual ability to constantly remember the Supreme Lord.
Srila Haridas Thakur could have escaped the punishment of the Muslims, but by allowing them to torture him, he taught the world a lesson. Despite the extreme miseries of life, one must never stop chanting the holy name of Krishna. Haridas floated down the Ganga, and after some time, he became conscious by the Lord's desire. He climbed the bank of the Ganga and proceeded toward Fulia, loudly chanting the name of Krishna as he walked.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
When the Muslims saw Srila Haridas, they were convinced that he possessed extraordinary mystic powers. Pure happy feelings replaced the envy and hate in their hearts.
Now understand that you are truly safe in person. Kindly be deviated through the offenses I have committed against you. You are free men in every respect, and you may stay wherever you wish.
Thank you so much for watching this. Surya Mataji, over to you.
Hare Krishna. So Damodar class, first it was Archana Bhakti Mataji who started it off in the fall, and when she was teaching it, the children were reading the Krishna book and discussing the Krishna book. When we went on to the Zoom platform, we went on to chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, study of chapter 2. So as part of that, the children learned that the eternal nature of the soul and conversely the impermanence of the body. They learned about our real duty being our specific duty being performed by always thinking of Krishna. We talked about the qualities of a bona fide spiritual master. And then finally, we talked about the devotional practice and the 9 processes of devotional practice. So the children decided, they chose their own topics, and they came up with their own plays or presentation. So I want you to remember that the children have put together whatever it is they wanted to showcase from what they had learned in the class. So Darshan Prabhu, if you will play the video for Damodar class.
Srila Prabhupada states, material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. This is the main topic of my presentation. This is the prologue to the skit. 2 boys are on a boat without any life jackets along the seashore. One boy doesn't know how to swim, while the other boy does know how to swim. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Are you enjoying the fabulous weather today?
Yeah, it's so nice.
How about the ocean? Do you like to go there?
No.
Why not?
Because I can't swim. Ah! Help! I'm drowning! I can't swim!
Whoa! Oh my God! I'll save you! I saved him!
Are you crazy? This is just a shirt. Where is the person?
Let me explain to you. This skit relates to the Bhagavad Gita verse 2.13, and it is stated, Dehino spinyata dehe komaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuyatihi. In this play, the outer appearance or the shirt symbolized the gross material body, which is temporary, but the real person in this play represents the soul. Srila Prabhupada said, One who laments for the outward dress is a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. So, we should try to not lament in this way and have compassion for the eternal soul. Bhagavad Gita verse 2.13 is translated into, as the embodied soul continuously passes from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Since every living entity in an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation. I hope this message was conveyed in my presentation. Hare Krishna.
Shravanam, which is hearing. It is the first of the 9 devotional services. Excuse me, sir, can you tell me something about Krishna consciousness?
I would love to. Please, have a seat, and we can read together. I'll read, you listen, and if you have any questions, please let me know and we can discuss it. I'm reading Bhagavad Gita. Machita magada prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushanti charamanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, and their lives are fully devoted to my service. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My friend is saying, I'm sorry. My friend is saying.
Please try to pay attention for maximum benefit. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. It seems like you're pretty distracted today. This is an example of improper hearing. Shall we continue?
Yes.
The symptoms of a pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. I'm supposed to get your base. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in the transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited in the Lord in His abode. You're chanting japa and you're listening to the Bhagavad Gita at the same time. How can that be?
I'm multitasking.
Hello, Narayan. In order to understand the message that is being spoken, you have to give your full attention. Chanting japa, even though it's spiritual activity, and listening to Krishna consciousness, is an example of improper hearing. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe. And out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get a chance to understand devotional service.
May I please ask a question?
Absolutely.
How are other living entities traveling different places in the universe?
That is an excellent question. Your question is showing me that You are listening attentively. Asking relevant questions is a sign of proper hearing.
By attentive hearing, it destroys one's ignorance and strengthens one's intelligence.
This is Adi Sesh from Damodar class. And in Sunday school this year, we were learning about the 9 process of devotional service. And I chose Archana. As we all know, Jagannath Snan Yatra was on June 5th. And due to this pandemic, we decided to do Snan Yatra to our own deities. And they have been sick for the last 13 days in their sick room. Now I'm going to show you how I take care of our Jagannath deities. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Now I'm going to start waking up the deities. Now I'm gonna undress the deities from their night dress and put on their outfit of the day.
Jagannath Swami Nayana Rtadhvaja Bhavatu me Navaya Cherajam Nacha Kanaka Manikya Vibhavam Navaya Cherajam Nacha Kanaka Manikya Vibhavam Nayache Hamram.
Now I'm going to offer their tea and their breakfast. After Arati, Jagannath is going to take rest because he is still sick. Thank you. This is my presentation on Arati.
Yam sakal janakamyam varavadhum nayache hamram yam sakal janakamyam.
Daya just live life like his Vashisha, Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sattvaja Namo.
Daya Tulsi Devi Prakeshwascha Vishwamati Prati Devi Sattavate Namo Namah.
Daya just live life like his Vashisha, Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sattvaja Namo.
Vrindaya Tulsi Devi Prakeshwascha Vishwamati Prati Devi Sattavate Namo Namah. Vrindaya Tulsi Devi Prakeshwascha Vishwamati Prati Devi Sattavate Namo Namah. Jai. Sakhiranugata Koro.
Krishna. In the 9 processes of bhakti, I am going to enact Sakya Ras, which means friendship between Krishna and Sudama. My wife has asked me to go to my dearest friend Krishna and to ask him for help so that our poverty may vanish. She has also given me some puffed rice so that I don't go empty-handed. How can I ask a friend something?
Sudama! Please sit. What have you brought for me?
Sudama was shy to tell what he had brought for Krishna.
Very tasty. I will save some for the queens.
The joy of meeting his old friend was so much that Sudama forgot to ask anything and forego why he had come to meet his friend. Okay, Krishna, I will leave now.
Okay.
When Sudama went back to his home, he found his whole house was transformed and he had all the riches in his house. His wife was very happy. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham, which means those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, my name is Ankita, and during this time I've been listening to and attending Bhagavatam classes, or you could say practicing Shravanam. Shravanam is basically when you listen to anything Krishna conscious related. It could be songs or kirtan, it could be lectures, it could be someone preaching about Krishna's pastimes, but Shravanam helps with increasing our bhakti for Krishna. Obviously, we cannot perform all of Krishna's activities because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is not possible for us to do it in this world, but we could practice the little things that Krishna does, which could be showing affection towards others or performing these little activities that help one another in Krishna conscious. Like I said, Shravanam can be anything. It could be listening to songs about Krishna or kirtan, which could be different tunes of the Maha Mantra. It could also be lectures on different topics, and it could also be listening to someone preach about Krishna's pastimes. It doesn't even have to be Krishna's pastimes. It could be anything about the spiritual world. It could be anything from the Bhagavatam, anything from the Holy Scriptures. So basically, Shravanam helps us a lot with our consciousness, and it helps us increase our bhakti.
Hare Krishna, everyone. In the 7th canto, chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his father, Hiranyakashipu, what he had learned from his teachers, Sanda and Amarka, sons of Shukracharya. Prahlad Maharaj responded to the inquiry of his father with the instructions he had received from his spiritual master Narad Muni. He wanted to relate the best thing he learned from his spiritual master, whereas Hiranyakashipu expected to hear about politics and diplomacy. Prahlad said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming a servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. All of the 9 processes of devotional service are equally potent. A devotee can either do one or all of them. The second process is Kirtanam, the topic which we'll all cover. The word kirtan comes from the Sanskrit root kirti, which means to communicate, to celebrate, to praise, and to glorify. It can be done by singing Maha Mantras with instruments in the congregation. Japa. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
And finally, glorifying Krishna through Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Satatam kirtayanto mam yata antasya tadavrataha namasyantasya mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
To wrap it up, I will quote a verse from Lord Chaitanya's teachings. Tarnadapi sunichena tarodapi saheshana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. A devotee can very peacefully chant the holy name of the Lord by behaving more humbly than the grass, being tolerant like a tree, and offering respects to everyone without honor from anyone else. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna.
So that was Damodar class presentation. And now we will move on to Madan Mohan class. Mother Revati.
You see me?
Hare Krishna, Mother Revati.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Hare Krishna, everyone. So I would like to thank first of all Shobha Radhe Mataji for giving me opportunity to teach Madan Mohan class this year. This was my first year. Last year I did, but I was substituting here and there. But officially this was my first year, and I had wonderful group of students this year who were very excited. I had Kanchan, Arjun, Anish, and Borsha. And we started off by learning the 9 processes of devotional service and 10 offenses against the holy name. And we would recite them every time along with chanting of 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We then spent the time learning the Mangalacharan prayers with their meaning and their importance. After spending few weeks on the invocation prayers, we continued to learning and understanding Lord Chaitanya's Shikshashtakam. We recited, memorized, and analyzed these 8 verses to understand how to apply them in our devotional practices. With the start of 2020, we dove into books written by Srila Prabhupada. The first one was SSR, Science of Self-Realization, in which we took a look at many of conversations Srila Prabhupada had with iconic figures such as Father Emmanuel and Cardinal Daniel on interfaith topics and vegetarianism. All the students were able to relate these instances in their own lives and had deep discussions on how to approach these situations. We continued our study onto this book's Journey of Self-Discovery, in which we read about nature of soul and its journey through reincarnation. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19 situation, we weren't able to come together personally for the rest of the year, but through online platforms, we were able to come together virtually to finish what we had started. I had wonderful time associating with these wonderful and intelligent children. They all came to class with immense dedication and eagerness to learn. Not only did they learn from me, but I learned many things from them as well. Again, thanks to Sunday School Committee and Mataji for giving me this opportunity to do this wonderful seva. Hare Krishna. So Darshan Prabhu, can you please move on to the presentations?
Hare Krishna Mataji, are you looking for something?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I had a few questions. It would be a great help if you answer them.
Yes, sure Mataji. How can I help you?
I am new to ISKCON.
May I please know how I can progress in my devotional services and which process can help me the best?
Of course. Of all the 9 processes of devotional services, Shravanam or the process of hearing is the most effective way. It will help you in progressing your devotional services. You can start listening to lectures. Srila Prabhupada's lectures are the best to start with. You must listen to them carefully and take in what he is saying. Try implementing the things that he is telling one to do and see how well you progress.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I will try my best in doing whatever you have just said. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wait.
Kanchan then searched Srila Prabhupada's lecture to listen. Srila Prabhupada's lecture. Prashadam, Krishna's mercy. This sounds interesting.
If you engage your tongue, now how to engage my tongue? What is the business of my tongue? Two business only. To taste or eat and chant. Chant Hare Krishna with tongue and take Krishna Prasadam. It conquer Krishna. This is the program. Sevanmukhi hi jivbhadu. So if you do not control your tongue, if you feel inconvenient in taking prasadam, that means you are not making progress. This is the formula. Sevanmukhi hi jivbhadu. Swami was first. So in our other branches, all the devotees, they take together prasadam. That is nice. Why one should be not liking to take prasadam in the temple? What is the fault? No, this is not good. Everyone should take prasadam. You see, still, if you go to Jagannath Puri, even outsiders who go there, they do not cook strictly. They do not. They purchase prasadam. And if you go there, 1,000 men, because their pilgrims are coming, there is no, you will get immediately ready prasadam, purchase prasadam. The Jagannath Puri still. And there is no such thing as infection. I am taking your prasadam, remnants, whatever is left hand is taking. Even if you are outcast, if you are not Brahmin, still there is. Because prasad is transcendent. It is not a material thing. So one must have faith that it is not material. It cannot be infected by any material things. In this way, prasad should be taken. It is called prasada seva, not prasad enjoyment. Seva means giving service. Prasad is as good as Krishna. Therefore, prasad should be respected as good as Krishna. As soon as one gets prasadam, immediately touches on the head. Because it is Krishna, absolute. In this way, we have to be trained up. As it is prescribed in the Shastras.
We can use our tongue in chanting Hare Krishna and eating Krishna Prasadam. If I don't control over my tongue, I cannot progress in my devotional service. Prasadam is not infectious because it is transcendental and not a material thing. Prasad is as good as Krishna and should be given respect just like Krishna because Prasad is Krishna.
In this way, Kanchan started listening Srila Prabhupada's lecture every day, which helps her progressing in her devotional service.
Hare Krishna Mataji, how is your sadhana going on?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have progressed a lot because of your recommendations. Shravanam, or the process of hearing.
Hari Bol!
Hearing Srila Prabhupada's lectures helped me not only in eating prasadam but also in many other devotional services. Parikshit Maharaj was also liberated just by this simple process of hearing. This process of hearing can help anyone in progressing in their devotional service. I thank you very much and will always recommend others to hear more and more lectures.
Hari Bol! I am very happy that you have progressed in your sadhana.
Hare Krishna.
old man in Philadelphia who has a chickadee in a cage.
I love you so much, my chickadee.
The chickadee is happily chirping. It seems contented and bright.
Oh, MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Oh, isn't my chickadee so happy in its beautiful little cage?
He never thinks he is singing along with a poor imprisoned captive, nor does he understand its needs.
Oh, I must polish this cage some more. Such a shiny cage. I must polish it so it's shinier than shiny.
Oh, MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Bro, fool, give me some food and water. I'm starving.
Funny.
The cage nearly blinds him with glitter and shine. But as for the poor bird inside, he never notices how it has changed for the sake of her cage in her glory and pride.
Isn't it amazing how shiny and beautiful this cage is? I need to wear sunglasses just to look at it. You want some sunglasses, bud? Take some sunglasses. Take some sunglasses. Wear the sunglasses.
The week goes by without water or food, till the voice, once singing so clear, gets weaker and weaker day by day. Oh, the bird is thudding, I fear.
Oh, MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
The dear little man keeps polishing till he is sweating red and with endeavor. But you and I both, though of course, he is insane and not at all clever.
Is this what I get for making my chickadee such a shiny cage? I don't get any singing or love or anything from it. I shine your cage so well, yet this is what I get? The fates are so cruel.
He thinks, he curses and tears at his hair, that the chickadee will soon be restored. But oh, what a pity, it's far too late. He is lost the chickadee she adored. For the soul of chickadee has already left the body, the man will mourn, not knowing the soul of the bird has entered a new body to be reborn. Yes.
The soul is alive in everyone's heart, and the body needs it as a guide, just as a car needs a driver before it can go for a ride. So if you think that you only need to take care of the body, you are wrong. Keep thinking and you will realize that it won't be enough for long. For the soul must not be neglected, and here's his favorite dish. The names and pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna will satisfy every soul's wish. Let's feed our souls and everyone else's the best Sunday feast has ever tasted. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the sound that's never wasted.
Krishna. As young devotees, we should put our talents and skills as a way to show our Krishna consciousness. My sister and I have the talent of arts and crafts. So sometimes we do arts and crafts to show that art can be used as a way to show your Krishna consciousness. A few years back, in 6th grade, I had to do a project on someone who was important to me or to other people, and I chose Srila Prabhupada. I didn't have to choose him, but I did because I wanted to show my Krishna consciousness. Another thing that I made to show my Krishna consciousness was a tribute to Srila Prabhupada. I worked really hard on it. I put images all around. I colored it. Here I have a biography of Prabhupada that I made in 6th grade because we were asked to choose someone to do a biography of. And in 9th grade, in our acting class, our teacher told us to pick something from a movie or something that you wanted to recreate a play on. And so, I chose Narasimha and Prahlad versus Hiranyakashipu, because why not? It's
part of my religion. Now, for my sister. She loves art, and she draws all the time. You probably see her in the temple with her notebook, sitting in a chair and drawing away. But sometimes she does draw things that involve Krishna consciousness. In this image, she's holding a picture that she drew a few years ago with Radha and Krishna. And here we have a bunch of different images of Krishna that she drew when she was younger. In this picture, we have a picture of Prahlad Maharaj on Nrsingadev's lap. And recently, she was drawing a lot of pictures of Krishna in her new and reformed style. Not only can we use our talents in school and just for our own benefit, but we can also use these talents to do something more meaningful. And that's the end. So thank you for watching. Hare Krishna.
So that was Madan Mohan class, and I think they have one more, another talent that they want to show off.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So all the kids will be like chanting Shikshashtakam prayers, and each of them will have two prayers. So Borsha, and then Anish, and then Arjun, and then Kanchan. So Borsha will start, and then they will continue. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Cheto darpan marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreya karavachandiktaranam vidya vadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita sadhanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna sankirtanam Ram Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tata Pita Niyamita Smarane Nakalaha Itadasi Avakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdevam Idisham Ihajani Nanuragaha.
Twinadapi Surichena Tarorapi Sahisnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Siddhahari Nadanam Janam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaya Mama Janmani Janmarishware Bhavadad Bhakti Rahatuki
Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavambudau kripaya tava pada pankaja stita duli sratishtim vichintaya nayanam galarasrudaraya vadanam gadgadarudaraya gira pulakir nichitam vapu kada tava nama grahane bhavishyati.
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविशायितं शून्यायितं जगत् सर्व गोविन्दाविरहेण मे अशिलस्य वा पाद्रतां विनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां मर्मतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्बो प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरम्.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. And Krishna is our eternal Father. The children would like to also say Happy Father's Day to their fathers who have given them this material body. So, Darshan, do you want to highlight them so that they can go ahead?
Happy Father's Day, Baba. I love you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Arjun?
Sorry, my thing was muted for some reason. But happy Father's Day, Dad. I hope you have a really great day and wonderful day today.
Haribo, I would just like to say Happy Father's Day to my dad. I hope he has a great day today. He's one of the best dads in the world. Love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day.
Haribo. Happy Father's Day, Baba. I hope you have a really good day today.
Happy Father's Day, Papa. Thank you for everything you do. I love you so much. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, Nana. Have a great day.
Did we get through everybody? I think so. So now
I didn't go.
Who? Okay. Somebody else there?
Gita will be turn. Happy Father's Day to the best dad in the world. Thank you for pushing me to be the best at everything I do. Love you.
Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
My mother gave me this body, but my father gave me this life. Thanks to him, I can now dedicate it to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy Father's Day to my dad. Thanks for always making me laugh and always being there for me.
Anybody else? All right, if anybody else wants to come back and say Happy Father's Day to their dads, we can do it, but let me keep moving so that we are not here all night. First of all, thank you to all the audience. It means a lot to the children to have an attentive audience paying attention to their, acknowledging their efforts. As you can see, this year especially, it has been all their effort. Thank you also to the temple authorities for always giving us the facilities we need to conduct these classes or anything else that we need, whether it is the fall festival. We didn't do a spring festival this year, but whatever it is we need, the temple is always supporting us. Also the temple elders, Mother Sangeeta, Vishnudada Prabhu, for always mentoring us and leading us in this path of devotional service. Thank you to the parents. I've always thanked the parents. They have always supported Sunday school, the teachers and the kids. But this year, especially with everything that is going on, not only did they have to support the kids with their school activities, also the Sunday school activities had to be helped with. Again, like I said, even though it was the kids who came up with the ideas, the topics, they chose everything, you can see that the parents were very involved in putting all of this together. And today in the video, I noticed that a grandfather was also involved. And I know in the audience, I've seen some grandparents, so that is, thank you for all of your support. And I have to thank the teachers. Sunday school has to thank the teachers. The temple has to thank the teachers. If it was not for the teachers and the service that they do, that they give, this would not happen. They bring a lot of energy, effort into their classrooms. I'll start with Mother Revati. She teaches the oldest age group. It's not the easiest age group by any means. It is very, and just like Maharaj was saying, this is the age when they are coming into their own. They are trying to reconcile what's going on outside, what is being taught at home, what is being said at Sunday school. A lot of things has to be reconciled within themselves. And it's a very, very, very tough age group. And it takes a very courageous person to be able to handle that age group. She brings a wide range of skills, as you saw from the presentations. It's not just the philosophy, it's also the Sikshashtakam that she had worked on. She has tried to teach them to sing, and more importantly, trying to apply what they are learning to their lives. She has tackled some serious books with them. So thank you very much, Mother Revati. I took over Damodar class in February when Archana Bhakti Mataji left for India. I used to teach Gopal class before then. Again, a fun group of kids to be with. And like Mother Revati said, I learn a lot from them also. It's not just me teaching them or telling them what it is, but there is a lot of back and forth going on. They bring a lot of energy to that classroom. The next age group below Damodar class is Madhava class, which is 1st through 4th grades. This has by far been the biggest classroom. As you saw from that Haridas Thakur's play, there were so many kids, and you have to engage all of those kids. To put together a play in the classroom is tough, on Zoom is even tougher. And hats off to Kirtida Mataji for doing a wonderful job of engaging all the children. Of course, she has very good technical help with Muktasanga Prabhu putting the video together, so that was very nice. And one thing about Kirtida Mataji, she did not miss a beat. As soon as we went into lockdown, she immediately jumped onto I think WhatsApp platform, and she went online. And then when we went on to Zoom, she had her classes on Zoom. So she did not miss a beat. We missed a couple of weeks trying to figure out what to do, how to do, and just grasping with the situation. But she just immediately went on to the WhatsApp group. The youngest class, Darshan Prabhu, I cannot say enough about him. He's a graduate of our Sunday school. Even while he was in Sunday school, he was helping Mother Sangeeta with various projects. But when we needed a teacher, when Archana Bhakti Mataji left, we were all of a sudden looking for a teacher. He took the initiative, he volunteered. I cannot say enough about a young man wanting to do this. I did not have to go to him and say, would you do that? He just said, he would be. Until then, he was always with somebody in a classroom. This time, he had to be by himself. And 3 to 6 year olds, that is also not it is a fun age, but it is not an easy age group, especially for a 20-year-old young man. You can just imagine. These children have just taken to him like anything. I sometimes ask them, would you like me to come back? And these little kids, little Vaishnavas, little Vaishnavis have very politely, but very firmly said, no, they want their Darshan Bhaiya in that classroom. Not only being a teacher, and as you saw from the projects, it's not just he's just sitting there and babysitting them. He is very nicely engaging the kids in a lot of different kinds of activities. There is singing prayers, there's crafts, there's storytelling, there's all kinds of activities going on in that classroom. Not only teaching in the classroom, this entire Zoom presentation, Darshan was in charge of it. Damodar class will tell you how terribly technologically incapable I am. I mean, they've had a lot of fun at my expense, and I've had to learn a lot of things about Zoom. And if it was not for Darshan, we wouldn't have been able to put this program together today. So please, all of you, bless this young devotee that he continues to do such good service and progresses in his devotional service and does this service for this temple. And then an announcement now. We have not completed our collecting fees from everybody for this school year, and I'm not going to put any effort in doing that right now. Those of you who have paid fees for this year, we will just apply it to the 2021 school year. So that is how we will go about it. And finally, we get t-shirts for all the Sunday school children and the teachers at the end of the year, and we wear those t-shirts. We would have gone on that Panihati picnic, which was supposed to be yesterday. I am praying that we will be able to do that sometime during this year. We will have to just keep seeing how that goes. This year, we haven't been able to get the t-shirts. It wouldn't have been possible to distribute them and all that good stuff. So instead, we have decided to make it, the Sunday school will make a contribution to the temple towards cow protection in the name of Sunday school children and the Sunday school teachers. We will hope that we will be able to make a trip to Gitanagari and have a picnic there. Let us just keep praying that Krishna will show us his mercy and we come back to normalcy and our temple activities very soon. Thank you again, everybody, for giving us your time and attention for this presentation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother Shobha Radhe.
Hare.
All the other Sunday school teachers, on behalf of ISKCON of Philadelphia, the management, from the bottom of our hearts, we want to thank you. Mother Shobha Radhe, Mother Revati, Mother Kirtida, and Darshan Prabhu, for your commitment to the children who are the future, of this world and of our organization, of our temple. It's really just a beautiful thing to watch. And I also want to applaud you all for when the COVID period hit. It could have been a very easy excuse to just say, hey, we're just going to pack it in. We'll pick it up in September, the world's in disarray. And to be able to keep the continuity together with the children, I know meant so much to the parents, that the children had an outlet for connecting and staying within the group that they're used to at the temple. And that showed tremendous leadership and just a willingness to keep things going. And it showed where your heart really was. This wasn't just a service that needed to get done. This is something you guys really wanted to succeed. And just tremendous. And we're very thankful for your level of commitment in bringing the Sunday school to these children. So everybody out there, please, in your own way, please express your gratitude to these teachers who sacrifice their time, to help for the children. For the children out there, I know Shobha Radhe, you had expressed to me how you really have some bright ideas, for these children in the future, and especially in the realm of environmentalism, and the way that the temple can become more friendly to the environment. We've started to interact more with Gitanagari and getting organic vegetables, getting ahimsa milk from Gitanagari delivered to us. And there's ways that we can really connect in making our temple more environmentally conscious and friendly. And this is the generation that can really drive that home. Recently, we've started using all biodegradable plastics, environmentally friendly, but there's a long way to go. ISKCON does have something called the Green Temple status, and that's something we hope to achieve. And I think would be a great project for these young adults and children to really take on coming forth in the future. So there's a lot to look forward to. And again, congratulations on another successful year. And we're very happy and grateful for all of your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll close out this evening, if it's okay with everybody. In closing this out, we want to bring to everyone's attention that the health status of His Holiness Bhakti Churu Maharaj, we've been ending all our ISKCON Philadelphia programs with a prayer to send our best wishes and our heartfelt concerns to this saint. He's currently suffering from the COVID virus that he caught, and right now is a critical time for him. So we pray, please join me. We pray, dear Lord Krishna, that if you so desire, that you give His Holiness Bhakti Churu Maharaj, your faithful, dedicated, loyal disciple, loyal devotee, who has given his life, and in doing so affected so many devotees and their lives, who gives upliftment and enrichment and just so much joy, feeling of safety and security. You are one of Srila Prabhupada's dearest sons. We pray, Lord Krishna, that if you so desire, to please restore his health so that he can continue his life's mission in bringing Krishna consciousness to as many people as he can. Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Churu Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, everyone in the Sunday school, have a great summer. And temple is open for darshan. And as things open even more, we will let you know. We'll stay in touch with you and let you know how things are coming.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.